Hi everyone, I'm Catherine from Peace Etc. and I guide people who grew up in unstable, mentally and emotionally unstable homes become safe and secure within themselves. So today I'll be talking about no, I talked about mental already. I'll be talking about the emotional consequences I experienced as a result of living so extremely in survival mode. And these can happen at, in lower degrees um, when you're not in extreme survival mode, but you're still operating from survival mode. So, without further ado, I experienced emotional instability. It was a roller coaster. Like I couldn't predict how I would feel. I experienced so much emotions, and it was like hard to just manage and feel through them. I had really high days and really low days, and I crashed a lot, and I didn't have a lot of in betweens. I It was like I was like being dragged emotionally everywhere. Very low lows and highs, and yeah, like it was very exhausting emotionally. I felt grief and I also felt defeated because these things I experienced at the end of my marriage when I was in such deep survival mode, but I was also trying to make things work until I said, you know what, this isn't going to work and I need to like leave. I felt defeated because what I knew to do whenever there was conflict was to try harder and people please more and then live out of survival mode even more, the ways I knew how to survive. So I would overgive more, I would sacrifice myself more, I would people please more, but then I wasn't seeing any results. I wasn't experiencing anything get better. And so I felt very, very defeated and like nothing I did worked. And I felt so shitty about myself because the fact that I wasn't seeing any improvements, I took that as my fault. Everything was my fault. Everything was personal. So at that time, I felt very defeated and overwhelmed with shame every day. Like, I was in a marriage, and at that time, I was thinking that marriage was something that you experience happiness in. And I felt shame, even though my friends wouldn't care about like what my marriage looks like and they would care about how I'm feeling. I felt shame that like I couldn't present a happy marriage. Like, and I felt shame because I felt like I couldn't do anything right. And that this marriage where I'm just repeating old shit and old patterns in my childhood, that's what I'm living in. And I felt shame that that was my reality. So just so much amount of shame. I was very short tempered and easily triggered, and very, yeah, impatient with myself. Usually, like, I do experience anger, but I wouldn't say that I'm short tempered. I think I'm pretty patient. And yeah, chronically felt like I wasn't good enough. So then I would people please even more. I had chronic guilt. I experienced low self worth and self esteem, needless to say. I felt like I wasn't acceptable as I am or lovable at all. And I was not feeling love in that marriage at all from myself nor my partner at that time. I felt like I was very far from experiencing what I want in my life, even though I thought until that point that I wanted to be married and this is what I wanted. Marriage was what I wanted. But what I was feeling in that marriage was very far off from what I actually thought I would experience in marriage. And no matter how much I tried, it felt like I was never getting to that point where I could feel what I thought I would feel from a marriage, like contentment, happiness, security, none of that. So again, that led to me also feeling hopeless and defeated. Again, I felt depressed and hopeless. I also felt loneliness, isolation, and I was dissatisfied with, social interactions and my networks because I had very little energy to spend on other people and to spend on myself. Like, I couldn't interact with friends the way I wanted to, or even my coworkers back then. I didn't have energy for that. So then I felt more lonely than I felt at home at that time with my partner at that time. I was always lonely. I felt very, very alone. And also, no matter like how much I would talk about what I was experiencing, that never made me feel better, because I knew that what would make me feel better was to get out of that marriage and to spend time by myself and with myself. And I felt fear around doing that until I didn't. But there wasn't anything that other people could do to make myself feel better. Usually talking about stuff can lead to you feeling better. Like talking about, things that's on your mind can make you feel better. Talking about these things with like people you love and trust, right? But for me, I tried, but it didn't make me feel any better. And I was so devastated. Again, devastated. I didn't have, a lot of time to spare for social interactions. So I spent a lot of time by myself. And I was also losing a sense of self. I didn't recognize the person that I was in that marriage. In this really, really deep survival mode, I had lost touch with myself. I wasn't thinking the same. I wasn't feeling the same. I wasn't being the same person as I normally am. And it made me feel even more worthless and lower self-esteem. And also, I hated that I was doing that just to get my ex-partner's love and affection and acceptance. That I needed him to make me feel okay in myself. And so there's all these factors that were leading to feeling a low sense of self-worth and self-esteem. I'd also lost passion for life. I was just like, what? Like, this is not worth it. What's the point? What's the point? And I think I talked about this in another video, but I lost also passion for my work. And at that time, I was working as a mental health worker in the downtown east side Vancouver, and I loved my job. Like serving people and helping people, I really, really enjoyed it. And it was something that I always wanted to do as a child. It was a mix of like social work and counseling and support worker. But I couldn't even be bothered at work. Like, I was just like, why am I even doing this? How can I care about somebody else when I'm not caring about myself? So I had lost passion for even the things that meant so much to me before being in survival mode. And I began losing touch with my full potential and began doubting myself more. Myself, my potential, my possibilities. So these are some emotional consequences of living in survival mode. that I learned from healing my inner child and reflecting. But yeah, all of these things I learned were coming from being in survival mode, and all of these things led to me leaving that environment and that dynamic where I was living in survival mode. So if any of this resonates with you, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Please subscribe or follow wherever you watch this. Make sure to like the video and share it with those you love. Thank you for being here.